अगर आपसे हमारे कोई भी इंटरेस्टिंग वीडियोस मिस हो गए हैं तो फिक्र की कोई बात नहीं, आपको जाना है अपने YouTube ऐप पर और सर्च बार में रेडियो उड़ान टाइप करके हमें सब्सक्राइब करना है हमारे और अधिक इंफोटेनमेंट से भरे वीडियोस के लिए, और सुनते रहना है ऐसे ही रेडियो उड़ान, अ फ्लाइट ऑफ लाइफ। हैप्पी लिसनिंग।
जी दोस्तों, नमस्कार, आदाब, सत श्री अकाल। मैं दानिश महाजन प्रोग्राम बदलता दौर में एक बार फिर से आपका स्वागत करता हूं। आज रविवार को हम बात करते हैं डिसेबिलिटी से रिलेटेड किसी इनोवेशन के बारे में, या किसी डिसेबल्ड शख्सियत से मिलाते हैं आपको, या हम किसी आपको एस्टीम डिसेबल पर्सनैलिटी से मिलाते हैं, या फिर हम डिसेबिलिटी से रिलेटेड किसी टॉपिक पर डिस्कशन करते हैं। आज हम आपको एक इनोवेशन के बारे में बताने जा रहे हैं जो ब्लाइंड लोगों के लिए हुई है, जिनको ज्योमेट्री में या किसी भी चीज को ड्राइंग करने में प्रॉब्लम आती थी, मैथ और साइंस में। तो उनके लिए टुशे टेक लैब्स प्राइवेट लिमिटेड ने एक ड्राइंग टूल इजाद किया है, एक इन्वेंशन की है, जिससे आप यूज करके बहुत आसानी से किसी भी ऑर्डिनरी आम पेपर पर उस पेन की तरह जो टूल इन्होंने क्रिएट किया है उसको यूज कर सकते हैं किसी भी आम पेपर पे, और उसका पॉजिटिव इंप्रेशन आपको मिलेगा। तो उसके बारे में हम जानेंगे। ये टूल काफी हैंडी बताया जा रहा है, और बताया जा रहा है कि इससे काफी लोगों को मदद होगी, स्पेशली जो मैथ और साइंस फील्ड में है। और इसके अलावा भी जानेंगे इसके क्या बेनिफिट्स हैं। तो आज हमारे साथ बात करने के लिए टुशे टेक लैब्स प्राइवेट लिमिटेड के फाउंडर डायरेक्टर मिस्टर पॉल डिसूजा है। सर, वेलकम टू द शो।
थैंक यू दानिश।
सो टुशे टेक, टुशे you told me before is a French word.
Yes.
So tell us about why did you choose touche?
See, Braille was invented by a French man, and it is probably the most used tactile means of literacy and communication. So when I designed this Braille display, I thought it refers to touching and feeling. So part of the reason was most of the commonly available names for registering a company were taken. So when I chose this name, it happened to be available. So, and since it conveys the meaning of touching and feeling, which is what someone who's visually impaired uses to a great extent, touching and feeling, I thought it was a very suitable name for the company.
Right. So Mr. D'Souza, I want to understand, you are non-disabled.
No, I'm not disabled, sir.
Yeah, you are non-disabled. This is what I'm saying.
Yes.
So how did this idea came to your mind that you have to create Braille display, Roulette, or devices for the blind?
Yeah, yes, sir. So I am basically an inventor. So I am fascinated with any type of problem that comes across my path. I try to think of a technological solution. So I was trying to understand the way Western music is written, and how a musician understands these lines and dots. The lines and dots, the way Western music is written, is very similar from a sighted point of view to the way Braille is written. So that was the start of inspiration. I said, if I can make a machine that produces dots, then someone who is visually impaired will be able to read that music. So that was the start.
Okay.
And then I was very fascinated with the people I met, and they are the most inspiring people when it comes to problem solving and just being able to inspire other people. So from once I started, there was no lack of inspiration, and I was really went from solving one problem to a next, and it ended up with this Braille display being made.
Right. So Mr. D'Souza, we will talk. This show is basically to promote Roulette, so a lot of people or students could benefited out of it. And I got to know it is a very handy and useful tool for the students. And I got some of the feedback. But before that, just I want to understand about your company and the work you are doing. For that, I want to understand, you created Braille display before, Touche, and then you created that currency identifier template.
Yes. I called it Tiffy template because the girl who inspired me to make it and requested me, her name was Tiffany Brar.
Right, I interviewed her.
So I named it after her.
Right, I have interviewed her. She's an amazing girl.
Amazing woman, yes, yes.
Yes. So you created that, but that did not work. You closed it down after a while. Why?
No, I closed it down. Actually, demonetization changed the specifications of the notes. First, we were going to total demonetization and printed currency was going out. Then they brought it back, but when they brought back the notes, the notes were completely different size and specification from what the original Tiffy template was. And we could not adapt the Tiffy template to the new notes. So that's why that was currently put on hold. Any changes there?
And what about Braille display?
Braille display is going on, but it's going through from company to company. We are selling the cells to other companies so that they can make products. We are only making the Braille cells.
Okay.
And so it's a business to business venture for the Braille cells.
And your work is admired by the Karnataka government also. So
yes, they gave us an Elevate 100 award in 2017 to make the advanced Braille display prototype, so which we successfully made.
Okay, so let's come back to the bullet
Roulette.
point or the central point of this interview about Roulette.
Roulette, yes.
What is Roulette? Why was it invented? Who inspired you?
Okay,
yeah.
I'll tell you about that, sir. There was a friend of mine who was completely blind. Her name is Aishwarya. And I was walking with her and I said, tell me what's on your wish list. She said, I want to be able to draw. I want something that will help me draw. So I said, you have parchment and you can draw. She said, it's not the same as drawing on paper. So I made a device for her to be able to draw. At the same time, Xavier Resource Center for the Visually Challenged in Mumbai, I know them, and they gave me a list of problems that people who want to learn geometry are facing. So they've done a 2-year study on the types of equipment available, and most of it is unaffordable, and it doesn't really make learning geometry as easy as, primarily because they are dependent on this parchment which is imported and is very expensive. So I made a tool and I sent it to them for evaluation, and they were very happy and they said it works perfectly, can you take it forward? So then I made what is the final version of Roulette, which is a simple tool. It looks and behaves, looks and for like similar tools in the market, except that it produces the positive tactile impression on ordinary, easily available paper. You can use newspaper, any A4 sheets that are commonly available, even embossing paper. You can use any type of paper to emboss. So that was the start of Roulette.
What is positive tactile impression? When you say it gives positive impression, what do you mean by it?
See, when you use a Braille slate, when you use a stylus on a Braille slate, the impression is negative. It goes onto the reverse side of the paper. So you have to make your impression right to left, and then when you turn the paper around, the positive that you are reading is on the reverse side actually. So you have to turn the paper around to read the impression. Same with a lot of tactile tools for geometry and all that, especially like for compass and all that. When they use a spur wheel tool, the impression comes on the reverse. So you have to memorize the image as a mirror image. And then when you turn the paper around, you can feel the image on the underside. Whereas a positive impression tool, you don't have to turn the paper. As you draw, you can feel it immediately on the top surface of the paper. That's what's meant by a positive impression. You don't, unlike a Braille slate, you don't have to flip the paper and read on the underside.
Right. For the listener's sake, सर बता रहे हैं यहाँ पॉजिटिव और नेगेटिव का मतलब वो बिल्कुल नहीं है जो पॉजिटिव और नेगेटिव का होता है. तो सर का कहना ये है कि जनरली जब हम ब्रेल को लिखते हैं तो हमें पेपर को उल्टा करके पढ़ना पड़ता है, और काफ़ी टेक्टाइल चीज़ों में भी हम पेपर को उल्टा करके पढ़ते हैं. लेकिन रूलेट को जब हम यूज़ करेंगे, जिस तरह से हम यूज़ करेंगे उसी तरह से हम उसे पढ़ सकते हैं जैसे नॉन डिसेबल पढ़ते हैं. सो व्हाट इज द इनिशियल फीडबैक ऑफ दिस टूल?
So as of date, I've not got a single negative report, although I was hoping to get, in fact, one, because from an inventor point of view and from a designer point of view, we look for negative feedback so that we can improve the product before it goes to market. But I've not got, in fact, one of my people who evaluated it, who's probably the cleverest young man that I've met, and who's completely visually impaired, he said, "I'm sorry, uncle, but I can't find anything wrong with it. I know you're looking for something for me to say negative, but I've not been able to find anything negative."
How many people have used it till now?
We've sent out about 50 samples, and I've got feedback from about 10.
10. So you...
And the Xavier Institute have tried it out with more than 15 people, students themselves.
Right.
Separately, I didn't count them.
But don't you think number is very less now?
It is less from, see, within our own circle of people, we've done much more than 100 tests. And I've done more than 50 variations of Roulette before even releasing the initial thing to the market.
You spoke in the beginning about affordability.
Yes.
And tell us how much it cost and what is the plan to distribute.
The plan to distribute is within networks that are available. Right now, the working tip of the device is the expensive part, so we plan to make it in between the 350 to 500 range, depending upon what we supply with it. Whether we supply a drawing board with it, or it needs a rubber-backed drawing board. So the rubber-back is a bit expensive. So it will be in between 5 and maybe 600 by the time taxes and whatever else is added to it.
So is it launched now? You are ready to sell it out, or
we are ready to sell it. We have already made, I think there's more than 100 that have been sent out. We've got feedback from more than 10 people, and from institutes we've got feedback, like Xavier Institute, they do bulk testing. So they have sent out official feedback reports. So if you count everything that has gone out, is more than 100, but selling, as of now, it's been just evaluation samples, but we are ready to sell. We have production ready quantities.
Right. So Bangalore is already a hub of organizations which are working for the blind.
Yes.
So have you spoken to them, or are you planning to reach out to them?
Yes, sir. As a company, I have been working with a lot of these organizations. I know them, most of the Bangalore organizations, and some from other parts of India as well, because last 3 years I've been working as a company, but I've been working for last 10 years as an individual, and I've got to know most of the people concerned in this field. So I've already sent out messages to all of them, and some in Bangalore have already been given samples for evaluation and testing.
So how this tool works? Is it electronic one, or do we have to use ink, or how it works?
It has got a small wheel that makes little impressions on the paper. It is a hardened stainless steel wheel tip. So it rolls on the paper, and because of the rubber backing, it makes selective impression, like braille marking, just like braille marking. The difference is from other things is that it pulls the paper back up again to form a positive impression. That is the thing. It doesn't it's not like other tools similar that look similar and probably feel similar. They work by perforating the paper, and the perforation is felt on the underside. This one, it pulls the paper backwards and gives you the positive impression.
Right.
The feeling is, what you feel is like a braille line, very closely spaced dots.
You don't need any ink for that.
No ink, no.
Nothing.
The only consumable is the paper that you are going to use, and you can even use newspaper in the initial stages when you are learning how to use the tool, or you just want to scribble and do some rough work or something. You can even use newspaper.
Right.
But if you want to do, say, geometry that is going for evaluation and a sighted person needs to use, you can use ordinary A4 paper that is commonly available.
Is it easy to use, or do anybody need any specific training for that?
We gave only little bit of training in the institute that we went to give a demonstration, we have to just explain that they have to hold it like a pencil vertically, as close to vertical as possible, and vertical we have to show them with relation to the board. So, and that is the only thing. And another bit of information that we give them is that it works when the wheel is rotating. So that means you have to pull the tool in a certain direction and not use it at angles or crosswise or something like that, you know. So that is the only, they get used to that very fast.
No, I just want to understand, like if any student
Yes.
ask you for that, and
Yes.
will he or she able to use independently, or do they need to talk
No,
to
they will be able to use it independently from the first 2 minutes of getting it into their hands.
Right. So do tell our listeners how
Yes, sir.
they can order it, how they can reach out to you.
For if immediately, for the time being, if you can contact us at contact@touchetech.com, contact@touchetech.com will be, and just leave a request and we will get back to you.
Yeah, so I request you to repeat it and spell it again.
Okay. You can contact us at contact, CONTACT, @ touchetech, touchetech.com, COM.
So I got some feedbacks and people were very happy. You have
Yes.
made it very easy. So what are the future plans for the other devices? Is there any plan, or now you will
Yes.
stick to this?
No. Roulette is the first step towards making a complete geometry kit. We will have to incorporate the working tip of roulette into a compass, and we have to adapt a scale, protractor, and ruler to work with roulette. So those will be a separate adaptations. So we'll make a complete geometry kit, and then we will also there are other works that the company is working on. I in particular from in charge of design for the company. So we are working on an affordable brailler also. That will take some time to come to the market, and there are some other devices for other people, other types of disabilities also that we have got requests to work on. And as a company, we appreciate if people write to us and tell us of specific problems, especially visually impaired. That is our primary focus. If you can tell us of specific problems, like we were told to address this problem regarding geometry, so we work towards it. But if there are specific problems, we'll be more than happy to try and put some research into solving those problems.
Mr. D'Souza, there were times when visually impaired people were not opting math and science due to inaccessibility or due to lack of equipments now coming in the market. So
Yes.
now from last 4-5 years, there are a lot of inventions, different kind of inventions for the blind to opt math and science. And
Yes.
you have also come up with that. So how important it was and how it is going to help visually impaired according to you?
So, like, there is a simple, one very simple way I will tell you. Like, when you're teaching math, the spatial orientation of numbers is in rows and columns. Now, even to make a sheet of tactile rows and columns was not possible earlier. But with roulette, you can take an ordinary scale, a teacher can help out in this, and mark the paper into rows and columns, which with very minimal effort, the student can get a concept of what is the spatial orientation of numbers. If you have to fill tactile numbers or even symbols, or even use stickers, you would get an idea of spatial orientation and why maths is so dependent on spatial orientation. Then when you're using, say for instance, a brailler, you get that spatial orientation by virtue of where the embossing is taking place. So it helps you understand concepts of space for learning math, geometry when you're doing figures. And another reason was that most of the equipment that was available was out of reach of the common man.
Right.
So this thing brings it one step closer to make it totally affordable to a common man.
Are you going to tie up with the organizations one can purchase from, or you believe in
Yes,
that?
we have been speaking to other organizations across the country so that they can be distributors, and that will happen. This is a very new device that
Right.
the IP was only filed on the 15th of September, so it is exactly 1 month and 1 day old as of now, or one month old as of today.
Right. So you have mentioned about your email. Is there any phone? Because there are people who feels more convenient in talking than writing.
Yes, I can give you my phone number also. I request
But
that.
I request all the listeners, only serious people would call him.
Oh, yes, only serious people. I was just going to say, if serious people phone, I have no objection. I will definitely answer. I will give you my number. It is 99728 70168. I'll repeat, 99728 70168.
So, Mr. D'Souza, how did you come in this field?
So I mentioned I was an inventor, so I used to work in precision machining in the field of watchmaking. I think that was all a preparation in the greater scheme of things to prepare me for the fine work that was required, the understanding. Because what happens as an inventor, when you come up with a new idea, people are not, ready to take a plunge for something totally new. So because of the skill that I had learnt in this field of watchmaking, when these machine shops and workshops, whatever I asked them to make, they said it can't be done or we can't do it. So because I learnt watchmaking, I was able to do these initial prototypes myself and show them that these things can be done and we must do it this way.
So you were a
And
watchmaker, then why didn't you make any watch for the blind till now?
Actually, I made a different type of watch. It was called a perpetual calendar. And regarding a tactile watch, I haven't really made, because these things are, from a mechanical point of view, they're very expensive to produce. But my mind is constantly working on this. In fact, some of the earliest watchmakers, they made tactile watches, not actually for the blind, but they made it for telling the time in the dark, because in those days they used to use oil lamp, and if they had to check the time in the night, they had to put on the oil lamp and check the time. But those actually turned out to be the forerunners of what are the tactile watches of today.
Right. So, Mr. D'Souza, what was your perception for the persons with disability before you started working for them and before you met them?
See, before I met them, I didn't really know anything about them. I was totally illiterate. This is 10 years back. And once I met them, I found that, as one of my blind friends told me, we have everything, we are solving problems continuously on a daily basis because everything is a challenge. And that left a very strong impression on me. And then I tried to understand life from a different perspective of solving problems every day. And so when I got to befriend a lot of them and I made more friends, we used to discuss problems, then I realized there's a whole lot of opportunities available for an inventor to come up with solutions to make other people's lives easier. So in this particular, sphere of visual impairment, there are unlimited opportunities. And so I feel very challenged, and I feel that these are the best years of my life now with and the most inspiring people to work with.
Right. So, and what would be your message to all my listeners?
To the visually impaired listeners, I would encourage you to talk about the way you handle challenges, the way you solve problems, because you may not realize, but you will inspire some people somewhere with trying to find a solution to those problems. That is one. And to the sighted people who are listening, I would encourage you to actually try and make at least one visually impaired person your friend who you associate with on a very frequent basis, so that you will learn to look at life from a totally different perspective, and you never know what synergy will come out of that meeting. You will definitely not regret having one blind friend at least.
Right. तो आज हमने बात की मिस्टर डिसूजा से, जिन्होंने एक रूलेट नाम का एक ड्राइंग टूल बनाया है जिसकी कीमत 500-600 रुपया है। तो अगर आप ड्राइंग करने में आपको प्रॉब्लम आती है, ज्योमेट्री में, मैथ में, साइंस में, तो ये टूल बताया जा रहा है, बहुत हैंडी है। कई लोगों से मेरी बात हुई, इसकी कीमत बहुत कम है, 500-600 रुपया है। और मैं हमेशा कहता हूँ कि आप जो इस फील्ड में है इसको खरीदें, ताकि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा कंपनीज एनकरेज हो और वो और आपके लिए प्रोडक्शन करें और आपके लिए और रिसर्च हो। तो आपको फ़ोन नंबर और ईमेल आईडी दी गई है। तो अगर आप इंजीनियर बनना चाहते हैं, मैथ साइंस में जाना चाहते हैं, तो ये वन टाइम कॉस्ट है 500-600 रुपया, और आप फ़ोन करके सीख भी सकते हैं। इट इज़ ईजी टू यूज़। तो मैं चाहूँगा कि आप ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोग इस प्रोडक्ट को ख़रीदें, इस चीज़ को समझें और आप अपने दोस्तों तक भी पहुंचाएं, और आपको भी इसका बहुत बेनिफिट होगा। थैंक यू सो मच मिस्टर डिसूजा फॉर टॉकिंग टू अस एंड फॉर इन्वेंटिंग दिस वंडरफुल टूल फॉर द ब्लाइंड।
Thank you, sir. It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much for the interest you've shown in it.
सो लिसनर्स, आज के लिए इतना ही। फिर मिलेंगे अगले सप्ताह। तब तक के लिए गुड नाइट, बाय बाय, शब खैर।